Hello and welcome to my thoughts on 30 to 31 Ponyville Days. Hell yeah. If you haven't read it, bang bang bang, just click there and I'll read it for you. So, has everyone read it yet? Okay, I'm gonna start it now. So, I think the lead up to the main conflict is handled pretty well. Twilight's the pony of ceremonies, but she has important princess shit to do, so she can't be there to oversee the preparations. So, the mayor's taking over for her while she's gone. And in Twilight's distracted state, she apparently forgot that the rich family also founded Ponyville. So Mayor, just following Twilight's guidelines, has no resolution to this terrible conflict she just started. And sure, she's the mayor, she could make some executive decision, but this is Princess Twilight we're talking about. She can't just make decisions on her behalf, so the town's left to rot until Twilight's return. So yeah, the exposition's handled pretty well, and the buildup of conflict between the residential and commercial sides of Ponyville, it paces really well, and it just makes sense, it feels real. So obviously Applejack has a stake in this, but I just love how Rarity gets roped into the other side, and just with Rarity's tendency to be overdramatic, and Applejack's to never back down, it just leads to everything going completely out of control, and it's great. The story just does a good job at not feeling forced. These are their natural personality conflicts that occur almost any time they interact. I also like the way Rainbow Dash just sneaks her way into the conflict by trying to mediate, but then gets wrapped up in competing against Applejack. And the way Pinkie Pie is inclined to side with Chaos and Pie, and Fluttershy just quietly gets the hell out of there. It just feels like the writer really understands these characters, which isn't always a thing with these comics, so hell yeah. And then the focus of the story shifts to Apple Bloom's perspective for what feels like far too long. I understand why we're getting Apple Bloom's side. You know, she's Applejack's sister, and she can converse with Sweetie Belle for her thoughts on Rarity, but this just ends up making the storytelling feel passive. Really slows down the pacing of the action. But whatever, because now Twilight's back, and she brought the pacing with her, yay! Which takes us into part 2, with Twilight meeting up with the only sane pony left. And Fluttershy actually has a really good idea, because, she is a princess, so the general public won't just tell her no, so the only real challenge will be convincing her friends. But Twilight is an expert at friendship and can easily manipulate them. On a side note, I love how Pinkie Pie just convinced herself to help out in hopes of more pie. So to this point, the story has moved along at a pretty good pace, and then kinda slows down a bit when we get to the part where it's just all of the town going over their assignments. It's do we really need to know what they're going to do? It's kind of obvious for most of them, but, well, I guess it can't hurt to have extra information. It's also kind of weird how they had the scene where they first tried to convince Rarity, but then it got shut down immediately, only to then immediately have another scene with Rarity where she accepts. It kind of feels weird just to have both of them. It just feels like the first one doesn't have a reason to really be there, but it does set up for a great Spike moment. So I guess I can forgive it. And bam, Ponyville Days begins. Twilight feeling confident, everyone's got their jobs, doing them great. Until way too many ponies show up, and then nothing is going great. Oof. But don't worry, because everything just kind of resolves itself. Twilight just had to yell at them, and then they're all well, I guess we'll just get her shit together. And bam! Problem solved. But to be fair, I don't really know how else it could end. It just seems a little silly, but that could just be the point. Also, Twilight probably could have mentioned that she was just going to give out 2 plaques. That probably would have stopped the fighting, but YOLO. So that was Ponyville Days, and honestly, I think this is one of my favorite stories from these comics so far. I mean, it wasn't the most exciting premise. It was pretty chill, but it just felt so well written, and pretty well paced, and true to character. And it was just a good time all around. And now for the dumb things that I won't be taking off points for, but bothered me anyway, because they should have known better. They say hand 5 times, and it's horses don't have heads, they're hooves, come on. They say people once, oof, blasphemous. Diamond Tiara's eyes are colored incorrectly in one panel, and Apple Bloom loses her bow occasionally, and the biggest contender, every time Filthy Rich was referenced, they called him Stinkin' Rich. And it's like, wait, you have the knowledge that Stinkin' Rich is Diamond Tiara's great-grandfather, but you think her dad is him? Oof. But thanks to my elite editing skills, your sweet, innocent eyes didn't have to witness this atrocity. So, those are my thoughts on issues 30 to 31. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, and until next time.